Hey, I'm Lauren from tastypc.tv, and in this video I'm going to be taking a quick look at the Enermax Digifanless power supply. Now I'm really excited to be taking a look at this power supply because I've been using the Enermax Revolution 87 Plus in my home file server for quite some time now, but there are some things that I feel just kind of let it down a bit, like the fact that it's not fully modular, how far down the cables the sleeving stops, the fact that the fan is always active even at low loads, which is kind of a big negative for me, and also the fact that it's 80 plus gold efficiency. So when Enermax started teasing pictures of this power supply on Facebook, it seemed like the perfect upgrade and exactly what I was looking for. As for this power supply, not only do I really like how it looks, but it's fully passive, meaning that it doesn't have a fan and therefore runs at 0 decibels. It's fully modular and comes stock with sexy black individually sleeved cables. It's digital, meaning that you can use software to monitor the efficiency and temps, and it's got 80 plus platinum efficiency. So this is a 550 watt power supply, which in my opinion is a very good option for the vast majority of rigs, given that parts are slowly requiring less and less power nowadays. So the power supply uses all Japanese caps rated to 105 degrees Fahrenheit, and it comes with overcurrent, overvoltage and undervoltage protection, as well as a 5-year warranty. Looking at the output table, you can see the power supply has 2 plus 12 volt rails, with up to 30 amps available to each individually, or 45 amps combined. And the power supply's got a peak output range of 605 watts, but of course it's the sustained rating of 550 watts that we only really care about. Along with the power supply, in the box, you get an Enermax sticker, 4 mounting screws, 2 Enermax Velcro straps, a USB cable that facilitates the use of the said DPMS software, a cork guard which will just lock your power cable in place so that you can't accidentally be pulled out, and then 2 manuals, one for the power supply and one for the software. Then we've got sexy black cables, which consists of a 24-pin and 8-pin cable, 2 PCIe cables, each with 2 6+2 connectors. We've got 2 SATA cables, each with 4 connectors, and then also a Enermax cable with 4 connectors and a little floppy disconnector sticking at the end there. I have to say that I do really love the quality of these cables, especially because they come stock with the power supply, and I do think that they definitely rival the quality of Corsair's kits that are sold separately for about £75, so I think this is definitely a massive kind of value add for anyone looking for that kind of professionally sleeved cable look. I would have liked it if they'd been, heat shrinkless, but I think as far as like kind of stock or included cables go, these are probably the nicest that I've seen. One thing that I'm not very keen on with the cables though is that the PCIe connectors are red, because while I think that would look really nice in a red and black themed rig, and well, most of the rigs that I do are red and black themed anyway, and therefore it would go with most of the builds I do, in any other colour themed rig it just wouldn't go at all. So I just really wish that they just left that black, and then it would have matched all the rigs rather than just the red and black ones. And then lastly we've got the power supply itself, which does look very stunning with its black and silver theme. At the top we've got a silver honeycomb grille. Now with power supplies you do have to mount them with the grille face up. The power supply did come with like a little warning label just to make sure that you mount it this way, so if you've got a case which mounts the power supply in a different orientation, I wouldn't recommend buying this power supply. But across the sides we've got Enermax written in silver, and then also ventilation, which shows you the inner workings of the power supply. At the back there's more ventilation, as well as the power switch and connector. On the bottom there's a sticker with the output table and efficiency rating info, and on this side you can see where you plug in your cables. I have to say I would have preferred it if you plugged in the 24-pin and 8-pin cables on the right side of the power supply, because it's a guaranteed thing that you're going to plug in those cables, whereas for example you might only plug in like one SATA cable, and then in future you might want to upgrade and it's just going to be kind of annoying getting under the cables to plug on the other one. Also I think it would have looked better if you don't have all the cables plugged in, but that's only like a really minor niggle. So I've now got the power supply fitted in a rig so we can take a look at the zero delay power monitoring system software. Straight away you can see that it's not as complex as something like, for example, Corsair's Link software, which they use to monitor their digital power supplies, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing at all, as I do think there are a lot of options in the Corsair Link software that even the most advanced user won't touch, so I feel like this software offers you kind of a good amount of options for kind of your standard user. So along the top we've got the temperature the power supply is running at, the efficiency it's at, and then also the total power output, which is how many watts is being outputted from the power supply to the rest of the rig. Down here we've got the input values, so like with the input power you can see the amount of watts that's being pulled in from the mains to the power supply. So here we've got a more detailed rundown of what's going on with each of the rails in both voltage and amps. So we've got the plus 3.3 volt rail, the plus 5 volt rail, and then both of the plus 12 volt rails. We do have this switch here though that allows you to switch between running it with two plus 12 volt rails or a single plus 12 volt rail. Personally, I prefer to keep it with two plus 12 volt rails because I just like to kind of have things separated off and have two lower overcurrent protection points rather than having one larger one. But you can set up warnings so if you want it to kind of notify you when the voltage or amps gets above a certain specified amount. So up here we've got a reset button, we've got product info, we've got save where you can just kind of save a record of what your power supply is running at, and then we've also got usage which allows you to monitor your power supply over time so you can actually see how much your rig is costing you to run. So this rig has got two GTX 970s and SLI, an i7 4770K and 16 gig of DDR3 memory. At the moment the rig is idling, but if I get it stress testing by running something like AIDA64, you can see the 550 watt power supply is more than capable of powering a high-end rig like this, and the efficiency still stays at around 93%. So I have to say I do really love this power supply. I love how it looks, I love that it's fully passive, I love that it's fully modular, I love the cables that come with it, I love that it's digital, and I love that it runs at 80 plus platinum efficiency. In fact, for me this power supply is so close to perfect, it's a little bit frustrating because if only, for example, the cables were like heat shrink crapless and it ran at 80 plus titanium efficiency and it perhaps looked a little more kind of high end, like for example if it said Digifanless across the main side GC rather than Enermax, because obviously Enermax make both high end and low end power supplies, so looking at it instantly you might not be able to tell that it's kind of initially a high end power supply. But yeah, apart from those if it wasn't for those few things, it would be like the perfect power supply for me. I really love it, and straight after this video it's going straight in my home file server, and I do actually really wish I had a few more to just chuck in other builds and also just use in like future case reviews and stuff. But yeah, so obviously as I can't test this power supply, this isn't a review, but if I could and it performed as you'd expect, which I'm assuming it would given that you'd have to use high grade parts to have it run at 80 plus platinum efficiency passively, then it would be getting my highest award. So the power supply is around £180, which is about £60 more than the Seasonic passive fully modular 80 plus platinum efficiency 520 watt power supply. So for that £60 more you get the addition of being able to monitor the efficiency and temps in the software, as well as actually individually sleeved cables. So if we for example take the difference between like the Corsair AX760 and the Corsair AX760i is about £30. So that says that Corsair put about £30 value on the difference of it being digital. If you then also want to pick up a pack of individually sleeved cables, that will cost you about £75. So I'd say if those are two features you're interested in, the additional money is well justified. So while the Enermax Digifanless power supply might be more expensive than a lot of you would like, for me I do think it's well worth the money. So that was just my quick look at the power supply. I really like it, as I said, but I'd love to know in the comments below what you think of it, and also what you look for in your dream power supply. But if you like this video, hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more of my videos, and thanks for watching!